Ooh, there's a moth in here. Oh, heck no. Uh-oh. Ah! Ah! It's a big moth in here. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's D. Blair Gold. Today I am going to review or a quick little summary of several books that I read in September and October. You guys have to go back and check my previous video. It's titled TBR, books that I'm going to read in September and October. Well, there were 10 books, well 9 and then one that I had maybe 100 pages left. I was able to finish 7.5 of those books. 2.5 of those books I'm just going to have to do on another video for you guys. So let's get started. Here's the first book, and it was called Someone Like You. It's by Karen Kingsbury. I don't know if you're familiar with the Baxter family. It's popular. I think they even have a short TV series on cable. And it was about a young girl. They lived in Colorado. She had a twin through in vitro. So the mother had extra eggs. Young MADDIE Baxter, she was about to graduate and she was planning on getting married soon. And then she finds out someone comes and visit her, the guy that his girlfriend died, and he found out, the parents said that the girl, she might have a sister out there, and told him about the age range. MADDIE gets mad at her parents because she said her whole life was a lie. She goes to Colorado and meets up with this guy. It just all weaves together, and towards the end they end up pretty much together. But it was a lot of heartache and pain and lies in there, and they weren't the only one that had lies. As everything came out, other people in the family had things that they hadn't told regarding paternity and things, and they're a heavily Christian family. So it's really good, so you might want to check that one out. So the next book, All Ann Hagar's Children, mind-blowing. I'm not going to go into detail of every one of those stories. Some of the titles were like Resurrecting Methuselah, Old Boys, Old Girl. The guy killed a couple of people in the start of the book. This author has a way of just going in and just letting you have, because it's short story, so it's real quick and easy, precise. He gives you something to think about. It's Edward P. Jones, he has a way of getting in there and just tapping into that story and making you be like, wow. The guy, he goes to prison, and his family later tried to reach out to him. He didn't want to really be dealing with his family. But a girl that he knew before he went to prison, when he got out, she really didn't recognize him, but then when they recognized each other, they started talking. She happened to die, just died in bed, so he cleaned up. It was really weird, that part. He cleaned up the room where she was and everything, and just left her there and walked away. Initially he was in a halfway house, so he walked away from the halfway house, and it ended with him turning heads or tails with coins, because he didn't know which way to go once he was free. Think like, well shoot, what happened? What did he get it back into trouble? So I like this author because he talks about things of other countries. He had me in China, Vietnam. He talked a lot about the military. He took the perspective from women a lot, and like women in destructive relationships, like this particular one called A Rich Man, and another one where the woman is called Blindsided. She's just riding on a bus and then her eyes start going out on her. They're very good, so you might want to pick that up. Another book was Rapid Release, because me as being an author, I got a lot of valuable information from that book. And that book is by Jewel Allen, and it's a really quick read. I think I read it in like 2-3 hours, and it told how that you could just set up your course as far as you wanting to be an author, and to get books out quickly so people could quickly read your material and get to know you as an author, and for you to write a series of books. And that probably would be a best way to go to get your name out there in the beginning. But it's not to just write any kind of book, just really focus and follow the story structure, and just do them like every month or 6 weeks. So that is something that really opened my eyes to an idea for my book series. So we'll see. And then I read Sin of a Woman, but this is book 14 of 15, so it's a series, the Curtis Black series by author Kimbala Lawson Roby. Oh my gosh, I think I just found my brand new Christian author that I like. This book had some things that, you know, if you in church or haven't been in church, but you heard things surrounding church, and the mishaps and sins and different things, it's in this book. I mean, it was with two women that started the church. One because she had lots of money, so she loaned it to another woman, and the woman that loaned the money to the initial pastors, they weren't even pastors, found out. Neither one of them was called to the ministry by God, so they just figured one was good with money, so she decided to loan it to the other friend, and they weren't even friends at first. Once they slept with each other's husbands, but then they teamed up and became friends. But then through the book, they became enemies because Raven, she became jealous of Portia. And child, I'm telling you, it was, Raven had a couple men. I'm telling you, one got so drunk and crazy over it, he ran and hit a tree later in the middle of the night. And Portia, she sort of softened her heart, saw that she needed to change. Then Raven set up the accountant of the church so she can get money. It was just blackmail going on, and they didn't want their secret to be known of their past because Raven, she owed a bookie money in the past and she ran off with his money. Now I'm gonna have to go back and start from book one. I really want to know from the beginning, you know, because I guess the father of the husband of Portia, yeah, his last name is Black. He did some little skanky stuff that, very good read. So you might want to check that one out. I had this Unlocked by T.D. Jakes. I didn't get to that one. I'll probably read that one in January. So that's one of the 2.5 books I didn't get to. It's a reason. When I went to try to read it, I thought I could listen, but it wasn't enabled to be read, you know, how you do the text for read or voice over through Kindle. It wanted me to keep scrolling every page. It didn't turn on its own. I didn't have time, so I ran out. Yes, I procrastinated a little. And I didn't read The Miracle Morning for Writers. That one, I didn't want to rush and read. I read The Miracle Morning, so I really want to focus on reading The Miracle Morning for Writers by Hal Elroy. Yeah, Elrod. I keep calling that man Elroy. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, this book was really great. The Good Braider by Terry Farish. Now that book, initially, this is my page that I had made. You guys know when I read a book as I'm reading, this is my notebook that I like to jot down my notes, and then I try to draw a little picture of what I've read. I thought it was a book of poems, but it wasn't. It's just a continuous story, but each story is, they're short chapters, and they each have their own little headlines. As I got into the book, it was really heartfelt. It was about a girl named Viola and her mom and her brother, and they were in Sudan trying to escape all the war turmoil of that country, and they to try to make it to America. They just went on a long journey, and she had a friend named Lakun Lombe, and he was really positive, and they went to school together there in Sudan, and then they traveled and they went to Juba. They could speak different languages. Their books was in a different language, so they had to translate it in 2 different languages before they could translate it in English. And I thought it was very interesting in the book that Viola, she discovered books by Walter Mosley, our great author Walter Mosley. So she read as much as she could of his books. Viola lost her little brother. He died on her chest. And they made it all the way, and then they had relatives already here in the States, met them in Maine. It's a Sudanese community in Maine, and had everything for them. This was a really good book. I mean, it was short. It wasn't even that long, but it was just very detailed, and it painted a picture, and it gave you an inside look of how the feelings and the anxieties and wonders that the people had as they were traveling to get here to the United States. She was afraid of the police out here in the United States. I was like, wow, now you come from another country, because the police to her was just like the troopers and the terrorists that you know, would always attack them. It brought really strong tears to my eyes, and I thought it was a true story, but the author said that she just did a lot of research and she interviewed a lot of people for that book, and the only place real in the story was a restaurant called ASOS that everybody hung at, the young teenagers. The girl was like she was 17 or so when she came here. Then her mom burned her arm because she didn't want her talking to a redhead boy, and till later she was allowed to. The mom had got put in jail for just a weekend because they had to really work with the community. It was the Catholic Church that brought them over and was fortifying them and helping them to settle here in the United States. This book came out, I think it was written in 2007, released. So, A Thousand Splendid Sun by Khalid Hosseini. I'm so glad I read it. I read his first book, The Kite Runner, but this one, it was very well written, very good story. To me, it was sad. A man named Jalil, he had 3 wives. The one wife was just discarded, and the daughter's name was Miriam, and they lived off in a little village. And her father would come every week and visit her, and the mother had just disdain for him. He had money, and the mom would always talk to Miriam, says, your father doesn't love you, he's just a joke, you think you worthy to be in his house. And she was just so mean. She called her mother Nana. Sure enough, when Miriam got 15, she just left out her village and went to go see where her father was. And the chauffeur for her father wouldn't even let her in the house. And so Miriam slept out on the porch until the next day. The chauffeur said, no, I'm going to take you home. And so she ran past the chauffeur, ran into the compound where her father was. She saw him looking out the window at her. So he was there all the time because she was told initially that he was not there. She was just hurt, and when she went back, then her mom committed suicide. The father sold her to an old man. It was just a mess. And she ended up killing that man. She ended up getting shot by the firing squad because of that. Her husband, his name was Rashid. He took another young wife, that she was about 15 or so when she came. She ended up having a kid for him, but really that first kid was by another young man that she liked. I'm sure most people have read that book. Those are some good reading, and it gives you a look into other cultural backgrounds, the things that happen. But it was a very good book, so you might want to check that out. I had to skip this one. I'll let you guys know that one a little later. The Miracle Morning for Writers. This one, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. This book is based on a lot of facts and research and interviews. Charles Duhigg, he was a New York Times investigative reporter. How the book started was talked a lot about how one particular man did a study with Target and how to identify pregnant women. That was random, I don't know. Anyway, he had all these statistics. It's really detailed, and the stories weave together. So he used practical stories of different people that, like, one woman had a gambling problem. One man fell and hit his head. He messed up his brain, so he couldn't remember things, but so they discovered that habits, you know, he could still do certain things because it was just, habitual. How someone that was raised the way with drug addict parents, both of them drug addict, he saw one die on the floor. At 9, saw his father die because of habit, and the way you could train, they're saying habits can be trainable. You could monitor things, and you look at 3 basic things: a cue, a routine, and a reward. And it takes practice. You might fail sometimes, but basically the book was saying it's about willpower, it's about can-do mind, it's about retraining yourself when something negative. You can reprogram yourself to do the opposite, and you can set goals and timer, taking notes on yourself for what triggers you to do the same thing. I wish I would have read this book a long time ago. I remember picking it up in a store years ago when it first came out, and I never purchased it. So I just want to encourage you guys, whenever you see a book, whenever you see something, it could be just a quote, it could be a magazine, and something's telling you to get it, just get it. You may not read it right there because there's a reason why that maybe you need to read that information. What just happened? I cannot believe this. I was recording, my camera just shut off on me. But I just thank you guys for coming on my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like my video. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I've mentioned. You guys take care, and I will see you in my next video. Later, Gators.